Just a second, I'm just checking if I'm, because for me this is not showing if I have come live or not. All right, so now I'm live, I guess. Yes. Okay, so let's get started. So structured questions, or which can also be called as diagram based questions on sense organs, so we'll discuss about that. So before I start, let me introduce myself. I'm Vani Kari, biology educator at Unacademy. I'm an engineer with bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology and a B.Ed degree. Also a founder of a startup where I grow microgreens by vertical farming technology. So join with us in Telegram for homework and class notes. You can join the channel Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 biology, and the Telegram link of Unacademy ICSE and ISC both. So this link you can find in the description box. So go to the description and find the link there. Click on the link to join the channel. Okay, so special classes, so which are absolutely free. So we conduct special classes on Unacademy platform. So learn from your favorite educator for free. Engage with the educator via poll. So that means we'll be conducting a quiz. Okay, so you can like whatever doubts you have, you can also get it cleared through the special class, like question tab in the special class. So that is during a live class itself. And also with respect to quiz, if we are saying, so we'll be sharing the leaderboard at the end of your quiz, so that you can know your rank and compete with your friends as well. So for the top special classes, you can visit the link that is there in the description. So now Unacademy subscription features, so you can learn live from the comfort of your home. Unlimited access to all the courses will be there. So top educators of India are going to take the classes in one platform, that is Unacademy platform. Then there is regular doubt clearing session, then complete syllabus will be covered, mentorship and guidance is given, study material is given, the practice test series is given, live test series and batch courses. Okay, so now depending on your preference, like you can go for any of the batches. You can either go for Hindi batch, English batch, or a English batch. Okay, so you will have access to all the batches. Once you take the subscription, you will have access to all the courses run by the educators. So you will have access to this, and this is basically after every 3 sessions, the 4th session will be your doubt clearing session. So along with that, there is a daily practice section. Okay, and then there is weekly mock test series as well. Live quizzes will be there. So daily MCQ and subjective test series are also there. Okay, now Unacademy plus subscription pricing. So you can, so now this is for class 10, no? So you can, since this is the very beginning, so I usually suggest you all to go with the 12 months of subscription. But if you just want to try like how exactly this works, so you can also go with the 3 months of subscription. Okay, and this is my referral code where you will be getting 10% discount on the subscription. Okay, so for 12 months this is somewhere around 15k. Okay, so for 12 months this is gonna get reduced to around 13.5k. So you can go for the 12-month subscription, so depending on your preference again. All right, so prices are rising soon, so you can act fast to save now. So you can subscribe now. Again, the same code can be used, that is Vani YT. Okay, so Vani YT is the code to get 10% discount on the subscription. Alright, so now the questions that I have added here, the structure question, so these are taken from the Oswald publication as well as Goyal's Brothers Prakashan. Okay, so let's see this. Just a second. So these are diagram based questions. Okay. Okay, So let's get started. So the diagram given below represents the cross section of the human eye. Okay, so they have given the cross section of the human eye here. Okay, so this is the eye structure. So you can see the parts that they have given. So name the parts labeled 1 and 1 to 12. Okay, so 1 is here, 2, 3, 4. So let's see this part. So now this is first part, then they have labeled second part, the third part is labeled. So all these parts are once you label this part, so each of these parts are going to carry the marks. You'll be getting half marks for each. So what is the function of the part marked 10? Okay, so what is this nerve? So this is actually the iris part. Okay, so what is the function of part marked 10? So that you need to mention. What would happen if the part 5? So this is the optic nerve. Okay, so if the optic nerve is damaged or cut, so what would happen? So first one is what? So first one is basically the outermost layer, so that is the sclera. Okay, so which is white in color. So the whitish portion of your eye, what is that? So that is the sclera. So next layer is what? Next layer is choroid. The third layer is retina. Okay, so you can see that. Now when we draw the eye structure, so I'll just show you here. So just make sure that you draw 4 lines to represent 3 layers. Okay, so one is going to be sclera, the other is going to be choroid, and then the other is going to be retina. So now the second one here is a choroid layer, the third one here is a sclera. Okay, sorry, the retina part. Okay, so this one is retina. So let me just erase this. So this is now a retina. Okay, so retina you can find which is mainly having the sensory cells, so that is rods and cones. Okay, so here you can find a yellow spot. Yellow spot can also be called as what? So this is also called as fovea centralis. Okay, or this can also be called as macula lutea. Okay, so this is fovea centralis, or this can also be called as a macula lutea. Okay, so these are the portions. Then fifth one is what? Fifth one is optic nerve. So this is now a optic nerve. All right, so this, one second. Yeah, so this is the optic nerve which is connecting to the brain. What is sixth then? So sixth is a blind spot. Okay, so here they are showing. So this one is a blind spot. So you can see a blind spot there. Okay, so this one is a blind spot. Then where is seventh part? So seventh one they have not labeled anywhere. No, so the seventh one. So let's check that. So seventh one is basically lens. I think the labeling is missing maybe. Okay, so seventh one should be like this. So that is the 11th. Okay, so this one is a lens. Then what is the eighth one? So eighth one is the aqueous chamber, in which you can find the aqueous humor. So we will just write it as the aqueous humor here. Then what is ninth here? So you can see that the ninth is pupil. What exactly is pupil? So you see this is the iris now, the 10th part what they have labeled. So this is actually the iris part. So between the iris you see the small opening, like in your eye also if you observe it in a mirror. So now these are the iris part. Okay, so this small gap what you find between this iris, okay, so that is a pupil. Okay, so you can find a pupil there, so that you can see a image of yourself in the eye. Okay, so this is now a pupil. Then so 9th is done. So 10th is already a iris. What is 11th one? So 11th is a vitreous humor in a vitreous chamber. Then 12th is actually the cornea. Okay, so this is now a cornea. So let's see this. So vitreous humor is mentioned and a cornea is mentioned. Okay, so now what is the function of part mark 10? So that is iris. So iris is going to regulate the amount of light that enters, so that the too much of light does not damage the delicate cells of the retina. So I'll just explain you this maybe here. Okay, so now let's say okay, so now this is the eye. Okay, so here is the eye. All right, So now in this eye, so you can find there this part, that is the iris part. Okay, so now this is the iris part. So in the center you can find a pupil. So this is the pupil now. Okay, so you can find radial muscles in your eye. Okay, so these are basically radial muscles. Then also you can also find the circular muscles. So you can also find circular muscles in your eye. Okay, so these are circular muscles which are going to help in dilation of the pupil and the basically the constriction of the pupil. Okay, so in that case, one, you can find what all muscles you find. So there is a radial muscle. Hi Mr. Bean Gaming. Yes. Okay, so this is a radial muscle. Okay, so there you can find a radial muscle, and also there is a circular muscle that you can find. Okay, so now with respect to this, so there is in these muscles, so there is a contraction and relaxation that you can find. So there is a contraction in radial muscle, or it can be relaxation. So contraction and relaxation you can find. So based on that, the pupil, so this is now a pupil. Okay, so this pupil is either going to dilate. Okay, so you can see a dilation in the pupil or constriction in the pupil. Okay, that is narrowing. So this is gonna happen with respect to the iris muscle. So these are the muscles of the iris. So the question asked here is, what is the function of part mark 10? So that is the iris. So iris is going to dilate your pupil, iris is going to constrict your pupil. Okay, so what would happen if part 5 is cut or damaged out? So if a optic nerve is not there, so what would happen? Any of you, any idea? What would happen if part 5, that is optic nerve, was not there? So person would not be able to see, because what would happen? So from the optic nerve, all the image is taken, like let's say here the sensory cells are there in the retina. Okay, so all the nerve endings coming here, like all the nerves are gonna join here. So from this side also, all the sensory cell, that is optic fiber, or we can say axon fiber, so that is to come here and it will reach this optic nerve. So like whatever sensation, like whatever or image formation that has to occur, so this is all taken to the optic nerve. Then in the brain is going to interpret that image. So it is going to form. So here whatever image is formed, so in the eye, so that image is actually a real image and it is an inverted image. Okay, so this would be inverted image. But when it is taken to the brain, okay, so this is this will be taken to the brain. So brain is going to it is going to upright that image. Okay, so when the uprighting is done, so you can see a clear picture. So in that case, the person would not be able to see, because the sensation from the eye would not reach the brain. So if they are not reaching the brain, then there is no image formation with respect to that. Okay, so that is why the optic nerve is way too important. So let's go with the next question. Okay, yeah, so given below is the diagram of a part of the human ear. So what is this? So this is a human ear now. So study the same and then answer the questions that follow. Okay, so they have labeled A here, then this is B, and then you can see there is C. Okay, so give the biological term for malleus, incus and stapes, which itself is actually a biological term. So the hammer, anvil, and so this one we can say that the hammer. Okay, so hammer is there, then anvil is there, and you can find a stirrup. So these are the normal names. So these are the biological terms are malleus, incus and stapes for this hammer, anvil and a stirrup. Okay, so now name the parts labeled A, B and C. So what is this part, what is this part, and what is this part? So this is actually a cochlea. Okay, so this one is cochlea. The B is semicircular canal. Okay, and C is actually a utriculus and sacculus. So let's see this. So there is a cochlea, semicircular canal, utriculus and sacculus. All together we can call it as a vestibule. So this is a SCC, that is semicircular canal, and this one is basically a utriculus and sacculus. Together we can say that this is a vestibule. Okay, so this is a vestibule. All right, so now I've named the parts labeled A, B and C in the diagram. So this is done. Okay, now state the functions of the part labeled A and B. Yes, okay, all right. Yeah, are you all understanding? Any doubt? So name the, okay, so function they have asked, that is with respect to part A, and then there is part B. Okay, so part B is semicircular canal, the part A is cochlea. So what might be the function of part A and part B here? Any of you or all of you? So name the audio receptor that you can find or present in the part labeled A. What is that? So let's see this one. So cochlea is there, semicircular canal. So function of cochlea is basically, as the sound wave, as the vibration, the sound vibration which was moved from the middle ear to the inner ear. So here, inside this inner ear, so there is an organ of corti which is going to sense that the sound vibration. Okay, so that is through the fluid medium, because the cochlea is having a fluid medium, so it is going to sense a movement in the fluid, that is a vibration in the fluid, and which is later on going to connect to the auditory nerve. So now A is concerned with the sense of hearing, so that is what it does by the set vibration which will be connected to the auditory nerve, and then one can hear. Okay, so now B is concerned with the dynamic balance. So what is that? So you can see there is a semicircular canal as such. Okay, so there is a widened area which we call as the ampulla region. So this is now a ampulla region. Okay, so same way you can also find there is now a ampulla region. So this is a ampulla region as such. Then you can also find, so this part as usual, so this is also a ampulla region. Okay, so now with respect to that, so these are semicircular canals which are responsible for the dynamic balance. Okay, so why exactly this is required for a dynamic balance? Because here you can find a endolymph, okay, which will be set into a particular vibration here. So due to the movement of this endolymph whenever you are spinning the head, so here you can find at the ampulla region. So this is actually the ampulla region, the widened area. Okay, so at the ampulla region you can find there are sensory cells. Okay, so these sensory cells are going to express themselves. So this is the condition. So with respect to that, so let's see, this is the ampulla region now. Okay, so with respect to these ampulla regions, so there is a changes that we can see. Okay, so there is a sensation of this movement can be seen, and that is going to maintain the balance of the body when you are in a movement. So dynamic balance is when the body is in a motion, the maintenance of the body muscular coordination or a body balance has to be maintained. So that is done by the semicircular canal. Okay, so now here the third question is, name the audio receptor present in the part labeled A. So it is the organ of corti. Okay, so this is organ of corti is the one which is responsible for the audio receptor, this is going to receive the signal. Okay, all right, so let's see this part now. Okay, so given alongside is a diagram, okay, which is depicting a defect of a human eye. So whether this one is a myopia, whether this is a hyperopia, then you can also see that. So whether this one is the astigmatism, so different conditions might be there. Okay, so study the same and answer the questions that follow. So name the defect shown in the diagram. So you need to find what is the defect here. So give 2 possible reasons for this defect of the human eye. So that is in a human being. Okay. So then name the part labeled 1 to 4. So what is that 1 to 4 here? Name the type of lens used to correct here. Okay. So this is basically, I'll just say this. You can see that image has to form here. Okay. So that is exactly on the retina. But you can see that image formation is occurring here. Okay. So name the defect is shown. So what is the defect here? So as the image formation is occurring at this point, so the eyeball, which is, it has lengthened. Okay. So because of the lengthening of the eyeball, okay, so image formation is occurring over here itself instead of a retina. And this we call as a myopia. Okay. So this is a myopia, or it can also be called as a short-sightedness. What is short-sightedness? You can only see the nearby object, but you cannot see a far object. So that is the short-sightedness. So give 2 possible reasons for this defect. One, I told the eyeball is lengthened from front to back. The lens is too curved. So this lens you see here, no? 1 second. Okay, so this is the lens. So this lens, what you see here, so this lens is too curved, and that's the reason you can see that there is a image formation is going wrong. So this, any of these reasons could be there. So lens might be too curved, or there is a lengthening of this particular eyeball from front to back. Okay, so now this is the reason. Okay, so name the parts labeled 1 to 4. So what are those parts labeled 1 to 4? Okay, just a second. Yeah, so name the parts labeled 1 to 4. So here this is one which can be vitreous humor, but let's see what exactly. Yes, so this is basically a vitreous chamber having a vitreous humor in it. Then next part is the fovea centralis, or we can also call it as a yellow spot, or this can also be called as the macula lutea. So you can see fovea centralis, yellow spot, or this can also be called as a macula lutea. Okay. Then third one is they have directly labeled it to the lens. So this is the lens, and this gap what you see, so that is a pupil now. Okay. So if they are asking this one, so this can be iris, or if they are asking this one, so this can be cornea there. Okay. So these are the different parts. Now name the type of a lens used to correct this type of eye defect. So it is a concave lens. Okay, so we can use a concave lens here. Okay, so concave lens can be used to correct the defect. So this can be by depending on the requirement. So this can be, the like in case of long-sightedness or hyperopia when we mention. So convex lens is used here, concave lens is used. Okay, so let's see this part. Just a second. All right. Okay, so the diagram given below depicts a defect of the human eye which has been already corrected. So this is already corrected by using a suitable lens. So you can see the lens used is this one. Okay, and already it is corrected. So you cannot see that the image formation is not occurring here, but instead image formation you can see here. Okay, so that means the correction factor is already used in this one. Okay, so now name the defect that has been corrected. So what defect has been corrected? So let's see this one. Now if this lens was not used, okay, so this lens is basically a biconcave lens that they have used. If this lens was not used, what would happen? So let's say this is the eyeball. Image always has to form on this one. Okay, but here what has happened? So after the correction, so this is anyway they have done the correction. So due to lengthening of this eyeball, like from front to the back, image is not getting formed here, but instead image formation is occurring at this point. Now when they use this concave lens, okay, so they have used this concave lens, so image formation is not occurring here, but the image formation is occurring exactly on the retina. Okay, so that is the correction is done. So what is the cause for this image formation? So that is lengthening of the eyeball. Okay, so lengthening of the eyeball from front to the back, or the other case can be the lens is too curved. Okay, so when the lens is too curved, so this can happen. That is a condition called as a myopia. Okay, so myopia, or it can also be called as a short-sightedness. Okay, yes, hi Akshay. So after a long time, yes, so lens is too curved, lengthening of the eyeball. Hi, hi, G, what is this? G, no? Padan G. Okay. So hello, all right. So which type of lens has been used for the correction? So that is a biconcave lens, or you can just mention it as a concave lens also. So concave lens is used for the correction. So mention one cause, so it can be this one, lengthening of the eyeball, or this one. So you know, it can be both of the reasons might not be the case. So any one could be the reason for this. So where would the image have formed if the lens was not used for the correction? So where would the image would have formed? Like, you know, if the correction was not done, the image would have formed before the retina. Yes, concave lens is used. Yes. So, you know, before the retina, we could see that the image formation would occur. Okay, so since this is a myopia, which is a short-sightedness, so before the retina, image formation would occur. So name the three concentric layers of the eyeball. So what are those three concentric layers of an eyeball? So you can mention it from outside to the inside. So sclera, choroid, and then the retina. Yes, that's right. Okay. So three concentric layers. So outermost, then you need to show. So whenever you are drawing an eye diagram, so you will be showing the three layers with four layers, like four lines you will draw to represent three layers. So the outermost is sclera, next there is this choroid, okay, then you can see there is a retina. Okay, so these are the three layers of the eyeball. So draw a neat label diagram of a neuron. So why exactly they have asked a neuron? So that is because the sensory cells, so that is rods and cones when we mention, so these are basically you know, they'll have a neuron ending. So they are nervous system, like, you know, neurons itself, since they have their own axon fiber as well. So it is a neuron itself. So that is why, since it is related to nervous system, so they can ask this, they can miss this question with the sense organ also. So myopia, concave, lengthening from front to back, the image would have formed in the front of the retina. The three concentric layers are this one, the image anyway, you know. So with respect to human eye, so you know the image, right? So images, basically this is the neuron. So one long process you can find. So there is a branching that you can find. So here again you can find a branching. So these are now, you know, so these are basically dendrites. Okay, so these are dendrites now. So this is a dendrite. This one is a dendron. On the whole, we call this as a cyton, or a perikaryon also can be called, or a cell body can be called. Then there is a nucleus inside. So you can find many Nissl granules inside, named after the discovery by a Nissl. So Nissl granule, which is basically a breakdown product of the endoplasmic reticulum itself. Okay, then other things you see. So this is now a nucleus. So same as that, there is a protective covering. So you can find a myelin sheath there. Okay, so this is a myelin sheath. So wherever myelin sheath is not there, so you know, here neurolemma covering is there for this myelin sheath. Okay, so there is a neurolemma covering, and you can see these gaps over here. So these gaps are nothing but the node of Ranvier. So you can find a node of Ranvier there. Okay, so there you can also find a nucleus that might be present. So that is a structure that you need to mention all the parts correctly. Okay, so you need to draw all the parts, and along with that the proper labeling has to be done. Okay, now with respect to human eye, explain how is the image formed on the retina. Okay, then how is the amount of light entering the eye controlled, like what is the control mechanism here. So what type of lens is used for the correction of long sight defect. Okay, then with the help of ray diagram show a defect of an eye, then its correction after use of the lens. Okay, so let's see the answer for this one. How is the image formed? Any idea how exactly image formation occurs? So now light from the source when it reaches the eye. Okay, so now this is one particular object. So light rays are coming from this object into my eye. Okay, so light from the source are reaching the eye, then it is converged by the lens. Okay, so this is going to get converged by the lens, and an inverted image is formed. So this is at the retina. Okay, so in retina what image you can find? So there is a real image and then there is a inverted image. Okay, so now what is the next question? So how is the amount of light entering the eye control? So amount of light entering the eye can be controlled by dilating or constricting the pupil. So that is with the iris muscle. Okay, so iris muscles are going to relax or they are going to constrict. Okay, so constriction or contraction you can see, and the relaxation you can see. So based on that there can be dilation or a constriction. Okay, so now next one is okay, so this one is which type of a lens can be used for the correction of a long sight defect? So that is hyperopia. Okay, so this one is hyperopia, or this can also be called as hypermetropia. So this is a hypermetropia as well. So in that case, what is the correction factor? So convex lens can be used to correct the hypermetropia or hyperopia or long-sightedness. Okay, so next one here they have shown it for hypermetropia, and this is for a myopia. So now you can see that the image formation has occurred after the retina. So this is image formation has to occur here, but the image formation has occurred after the retina. So this is a hypermetropia, and you can see that the correction factor is used, and with that correction factors you can see that the image formation is occurring here. So same way myopia when we mention, so this is the defect. So before the retina image formation you can see. Okay, yeah, so before the retina image formation has occurred here. Now when the correction factor, that is concave lens, is used, so you can see that the image formation has exactly occurred on the retina. So the question was, so with the help of a ray diagram show the defect of the eye, then show its correction after the use of the lens. So let's go with the next one. So given below is a diagrammatic representation of the defect of the human eye. Okay, so what is this defect now? Identify the defect. Okay, then mention the two reasons for this eye defect. So what are the two reasons? State how the defect can be rectified. Then name the part of the eye responsible for maintaining the shape of the eyeball. So you can type in your answers. I'll just bring water. No idea? Okay. Alright. So the defect is basically a hypermetropia. Okay, so you can see that. So this can also be called as a long-sightedness. Okay, or this is a hyperopia also. So this we can just mention it as a hyperopia as well. So hypermetropia or long-sightedness or far-sightedness, so is the one because image is formed behind the retina or after the retina image formation, you can see. So what is the cause? Shortening of the eyeball from front to back. The lens has become too flat. Okay, so lens is too flat, and here in the previous one, that is myopia, the lens was too curved. Okay, we will just see this. In myopia, what was the condition? The eyeball had lengthened. Okay, so it was not shortened. The eyeball had actually lengthened. Okay, and lens, when we mention, so lens is not too flat like it is in case of hyperopia. So this is too flat, but with respect to myopia, the lens was too curved. Okay, so lens was too curved, and that's the reason you can find that. So whenever we mention that the hypermetropia, so reasons for hypermetropia, so it is actually the reverse. Okay, so this is exactly reverse of that of myopia. Okay, so you can see that exactly opposite. Now it can be rectified using like correction factor. So that is the convex lens can be used for the correction to match the appropriate power. So that is the focal length. Okay, so now the other one is name the part of an eye, okay, which is responsible for maintaining the shape of the eyeball. So this can be with respect to vitreous humor in vitreous chamber. Okay, so that can be there. So sclera is the outermost layer. So this is the one which can also give a particular shape to your eyeball. So but don't forget to mention vitreous humor also, not just sclera, because vitreous humor present in the vitreous chamber is maintaining this shape. Any doubt? Is this all clear? Just a second, let me just check. Okay, so this one I think you have seen the question already. So let's see this. The following diagram refers to the ear of a mammal. Okay, so this is the ear of a mammal now. So you can see this is the pinna that they have labeled, then this is the one. So label the parts 1 to 10 to which the guideline points are given. Okay, so which structure is going to do all this? Let's see this. So where is the first part here? So first part is actually a cochlea. So let's see this one. So first part is what? The first part is actually the cochlea. Okay, then anywhere do you see a second label? So second label is auditory nerve is mentioned. Where is that? Okay, so this is cut, I guess. So this is actually the auditory nerve. Okay, so this is now auditory nerve that you can find. So third one is what? Third one is semicircular canal. The fourth one is what? So these are ear ossicles. Okay, so these are ear ossicles because you can see that the malleus, incus and stapes is being labeled. Okay, so yes, let me just check once. Yeah, it is ear ossicle. Now this is a auditory canal. Okay, so not a auditory nerve, but it is auditory canal. Okay, so then fifth is done. So sixth one is pinna. Okay, so this one is pinna. Then seventh one is eardrum. Okay, so this is eardrum. What is eighth one? So can you make a guess over here? So oval window, round window they have given. Okay, so now with respect to that, the eighth one is a round window, rotunda. Okay, fenestra rotunda, that is fenestra rotunda also it can be called. So because here you can find a oval window and this can be the round window here. So this is a round window. Okay, then what is this? This is now a Eustachian tube. Okay, so you can see that the Eustachian tube is mentioned. So this one is Eustachian tube. Then 10th is labeled for this one. I think they have not done this correctly. So this one, it is given as a oval window since it is mentioned here fenestra ovalis. So that is, it is a oval window. So this one is now a oval window. Okay. Okay, so which structure converts the sound wave into a mechanical vibration? Which is that converting a sound wave into a mechanical vibration? Yes, is this right? Is the eardrum answer right? So eardrum or tympanum is the correct answer for this one. Okay, so now converts vibrations into nerve impulse. So this can be done by the corti. Okay, so that is the organ of corti. Why? Because these are the sensory cells which are there mainly for the hearing. So that means now vibrations are converted into nerve impulse here because these are the sensory cells. Okay, so now respond to change in position. So this is a dynamic balance. So that means semicircular canal is the one which is having a role. Okay, so transmit impulse to the brain. Which is that transferring impulse to the brain? So is that the auditory canal or auditory nerve? So this is basically, a lot of them I have seen who get confused. So they'll go with the auditory canal. Auditory canal is just a way of transport from your ear to this eardrum. Okay, so in that case we can say that the transmitting impulse to the brain is done by the auditory nerve. Okay, the other one is equalizing the pressure, atmospheric pressure and pressure in the ear. So that is done by the Eustachian tube. Okay, so this is now a Eustachian tube. So this is the answer. So let's go with this. I think this is all clear. Any doubt in here? Any of you, any doubt you have, you can ask. Alright, so 2 more questions are there, so I'll cover that up. Okay. I hope you can see this part. Okay, so let's see this. Given below is a diagram of the human ear. So they have given a diagram of a human ear here. So study the same and answer the questions that follow. Okay, so now you can see that the pinna is labeled, eardrum is mentioned, then A is mentioned, which is basically a ear ossicle, then B is mentioned, which is basically a Eustachian tube, then C is mentioned, so that is basically a auditory nerve, D is actually a cochlea. Okay, and then what is given here? So E is given, so where they have labeled this E, so let me just check this. Okay, just a second. Yeah, so anyway, I think this A is for oval window or a round window. Okay, so now what they have asked, so I'll just confirm that. So give the biological term for the part labeled A. So what is this part labeled A? So this is now a ear ossicle. So biological term, so there is a malleus. Okay, so there is malleus, there is incus, and then there is the stapes. Like regular name, if we have to mention based on the structure, like how exactly this would appear, so we can call those ear bones as hammer, then there is anvil, and then there is stirrup. Okay, so these are the regular names, like based on how they appear. So this looks like a hammer, this looks like a anvil, this looks like a stirrup. So based on that the name is given, but the biological terms are malleus, incus and the stapes. So this is a ear bone, or in general we can call these as a ear ossicles as well. Okay, hi Prince, good evening. Yes, so name the part labeled B. So which is that part labeled B, and state its function. So first we'll see ear ossicle. So malleus, incus, stapes, to receive and magnify and transmit the sound vibration into membrane of the oval window. So basically amplification, okay, so amplification of the sound wave is done. So that is done through this particular malleus incus and stapes, okay. So with respect to that, we can say that once the amplification is done, so this particular vibration is taken to the cochlea, that is done through the oval window, okay. So next one here, name the part labeled B. So what is that part labeled B? So it is the Eustachian tube. So what is the function of Eustachian tube? Now you know, let's say it is a eardrum here, okay. So here is the auditory canal and here is the Eustachian tube. So now you know this particular eardrum has to vibrate freely, okay. So this has to vibrate freely. Then only this is going to the impulse, or we can say that the sound vibrations are going to the ear ossicle if this is vibrating freely, that is eardrum is vibrating freely. So for that, on this side the pressure has to be maintained, on this side the pressure has to be maintained. So if the pressure is more on this side, so this is going to bend like this, okay. So if the pressure is more from this side, so this is going to bend like this. So equal pressure maintenance has to be done on both the sides. So for that, Eustachian tube is going to equalize the pressure. So that is on both the side, so that the basically eardrum can freely vibrate, okay. Then name the part labeled C that they have asked. Is this clear? Any doubt? Yes, so it is going to equalize the air pressure on either side of the eardrum, allowing it to vibrate freely. So now next is auditory nerve, okay. So now with respect to auditory nerve, so this is going to transmit the impulse from cochlea to the temporal lobe, okay. So now this is a auditory nerve. Auditory nerve does what? This will transfer the impulse from where to where? From cochlea. So this one is a cochlea. So from cochlea it is being transferred to the brain, okay. So brain is receiving the impulse now through the auditory nerve, okay. So now next question is give the function of a earwax. What exactly does the earwax do? So earwax is having insect repellent properties, okay. Thus it prevents the entry of insects into the auditory canal. So even if they are entering, so they are going to be trapped, okay. So now it also checks the entry of the dust particle. So dust particle, if it is there, so that is again going to be trapped here. So you can usually remove this the ear wax, okay. So if too much of accumulation is there, so you usually remove that, right? But you shouldn't insert anything that is too deep inside, so you can just clear it out with your hand or a finger, okay. So it also checks the entry of dust particle in the ear. So thus it lubricates and protects the eardrum. So putting a sharp object into your eye, like I have seen lot of people who put pen in their eye, okay. So putting a pen in their eye is not a good thing, like ear. So it's not a good thing because it can damage your eardrum, so which is basically a bad one. So you can just clean with your hand also, that is finger also, okay. So let's go to the next one. Okay, so given below is a diagram of the human ear again, okay. So same type question. So what does the role of a eardrum play in a hearing? So this we already discussed, like what exactly it does. The eardrum is vibrated by sound waves and that is passed on to the internal ear, okay. So now what is the common term given to the parts labeled A, B and E? Okay, so this is the one. So E is here, AB is here. So that is ear ossicle itself, because they are bones, okay. So ear bones or ear ossicles is the common name that we call it, okay. So let's have a look at the other question here. So would there be any difference if the three parts mentioned, that is in 2 above, were replaced by only one, or replaced by one by one? Why? Okay, so what would be the condition? So one big ossicle would not be able to produce an effective amplification because it would require a great force of vibration than supplied by the eardrum normally. So moreover, three smaller ossicle with proper distance between them produce a multiple amplification and effective transmission, and that is how 3 of the ear ossicles are required. So one replacement instead of 2 having 1, or instead of 1 having 2. Okay, so all this is not gonna work. So there has to be small 3 ear ossicle which are gonna vibrate freely, so based on the whatever sound vibration is received. Okay, so give the biological term for the part labeled C and D. So what is this C? So C is given D. So D is anyway, this is the cochlea. C is a semicircular canal. Okay, so this one is semicircular canal. Okay, so this one is a semicircular canal. All right, so name the fluid which fill the parts mentioned in 4 above. So what is that? So fluid which is filling this part, it is an endolymph. Okay, so endolymph you can find here in the semicircular canal. So let's say, one second, so where is the cursor? Okay, here. Okay, so now you know, here you can find an endolymph that is present, here you can find an endolymph that is present, here you can find an endolymph that is present. So now completely inside this also you can find that there is a endolymph. Okay, so name the fluid which fills the parts mentioned in 4 above. So that is C and D. So in C and D, cochlea and semicircular canal, so you can find a endolymph. Okay, so there is a endolymph. All right, so now state the function of the ear, why the ear is present. So ear function is mainly hearing. Okay, and the other function is basically a balancing. Okay, so hearing and balancing are the 2 main functions associated with the ear. So hearing and balancing of the body is done by the ear. So we would just think that, like, you know, normally when we talk of a general public, so they would know that this ear is there only for hearing. So of course everybody would know that this is there for hearing, but balance of the body is also associated with the ear itself. So hearing and balancing is done by the ear. Okay. So perilymph can also be there. So in which city do you live? So this, I live in Bangalore. So perilymph, no, so that you can see in the cochlea. Okay, so I'll just explain you that. So now, you know, let's say this is a cochlea. Okay, so cochlea is having 3 chambers there. Okay, so if I just expand this cochlea, okay, instead of drawing a cochlea as this, so we can just show a cochlea like this. Okay, so this is now a cochlea. Okay, and here you can find a oval window, here you can find a round window, so there is a closing. So here you can find a organ of corti. Okay, so this is the organ of corti, where you can find the sensory hair like cells over here. Okay, so now this is canal 1, just a second. Yeah, so this is a canal 1, this is a canal 2, and this is a canal 3. Okay, so canal 1 and 3 you can find a perilymph. Okay, and mainly in the canal 2 you can find an endolymph. So here the organ of corti is there on basilar membrane. So this is the organ of corti. So now endolymph is the one which is making you hear things. So that is with the vibrations that are setting. Okay, so this is now an organ of corti. Alright, so endolymph you can find in the canal number 2. Okay, so surrounding it is a perilymph. Okay. All right. So, so before I end this session, so let me just see about this. Just a second. All right. Okay, so there is class 10 ICSE Premier League. So tomorrow I have one session on this where I'll be discussing the genetics questions. Okay, so that is on genetics. I'm taking a session on IPL, that is ICSE Premier League. So series of free sessions to cover the important topics and questions with Unacademy Top Educator. So this has started on 6th of May and it is till 31st of May. and PCMB are covered here in this. So you can join in for this session. All you need to do is download the Unacademy Learner app. So this batch started on May 4th. So here you have an option to watch the recording. So there are many more sessions which are yet to go live. So you can attend the live session also. Here in this batch the mode of delivery is English. So if you are subscribing for class 10, you will be getting class 11 and 12 subscription absolutely free. Excuse me. Okay, so now there is another batch, so that is the Titans batch. Okay, so here the mode of delivery is English. If you are subscribing for class 10, again class 11 and 12 subscription absolutely free, and again you have an option to watch the recording because only one session is done, so there are many more sessions which are yet to go live, so you can attend those live session. Okay, so prices are rising soon, so act fast to save now. So this is for ICSE board. So if you are planning to take the subscription, so you can use my code VANIYT to get 10% discount on the subscription. Alright, so introducing community. So never miss on any update from your favorite educator. So get session notes and practice material. Share your feedback directly with the educator via poll. Okay. So how you can watch my special classes? All you need to do is download the Unacademy Learner app, open the app and click on get started. Then you can enter your mobile number and OTP. So sign up using your email ID. Then select the class 6 to 12. Select your class, that is category mainly ICSE you can select. Select your preferred language like Hindi, English or English. Go to the description of this video, click on notify me to get notified about the classes 10 minutes before. You can also use my code VANIYT. So this is my code to unlock many of the free products that are there on Unacademy, or to get 10% discount on the subscription. You can also use this particular code. Okay, so download the Unacademy Learner app. So thank you all. So see you all in the next session. So click on bell icon to get notified. Subscribe to our channel, that is Unacademy ICSE and ISC boards. Like and share the video. Download the Unacademy Learner app. And this PDF if you need, so you can just text me on my Telegram channel. So that is Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10. Okay. So you can just search this channel. Just a second. Yeah, so you can just search this channel.